Guys, I thought I'd sit outside today and try and do a video. The weather seemed kind of nice, and now that I'm out here it's actually pretty cold. But stick with me on this video because I've got some ideas about Shopify that I've been using for a number of years that are going to kind of turn things on its head for you. You probably haven't heard anything like this before, so stick around and watch the rest of this video and see if I can't give you some information that will help you make some money. So what I want to do, I want you to think about running an ad in the back of a newspaper, just an old-fashioned classified ad. And I want you to think about doing a Craigslist ad. And then I want you to imagine a listing on eBay, a listing on Amazon, and a product listing in a Shopify store. Now, it seems like I've covered a wide range of things here, and I certainly have, and there's a reason for this. There is something that Shopify and eBay and Amazon offer you that the first two alternatives don't. The first two alternatives being your Craigslist ad and your old-fashioned newspaper ad. And what I want to do is kind of walk you through the transaction process. If you're selling something, if you've got a couch or just some item that you want to sell, and you decide you're going to do it via Craigslist or via the old-fashioned ad in the newspaper, the person sees your ad or they see your listing on Craigslist. In the case of Craigslist, maybe they see a couple of pictures of it, and they contact you and they come to your house, and there's a certain commitment there. If you think about it, when they get in their car to drive to your home, they pretty much have already said that in their mind that they're going to buy this item. If the item is as you described it, it's in the condition that you described it in, and they've taken the time to drive, who knows how far. They've made a commitment, if you will. Well, with eBay and Amazon and Shopify, people can browse and look at items and play with them and comparison shop and put items in their shopping cart, but there's no real commitment there. They can do this from the comfort of their living room. They can do it from their office. There's no effort on their part at that point in time, and that difference is pretty important. There's a reason that a very high percentage of items that are added to a shopping cart are never actually sold. And it's frustrating for all of us to see that. But the reality of it is there's no skin in the game for your potential customer out there. They can look at your website indefinitely and then stick something in the shopping cart and go about and just forget about it. Well, what I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years, in particular with my Shopify stores, is I push the product launch. I go through a product launch process whereby I build demand for the product before I ever make it available to actually purchase. And I do that through the marketing. I market the same way most of you do. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and whatever social media platform I think is appropriate. The difference is the majority of my Shopify sales come within the first 72 hours after I make a product available. I build a demand for the product, and I do it in such a way that when that person goes to my Shopify store on the day the product is launched, they're there to buy. They're not there to look. They've already made the buying decision, and what Shopify is bringing to the table at that point in time is just they're facilitating the transaction. The people can go see the picture for one last time, and then put in their shopping cart and they buy. My diagnostics and data indicates that people go to my Shopify store, spend very little time on the store itself or on that item itself. They pretty much go there, verify that it's the correct item, put it in their shopping cart, and complete the transaction. And that's the thing that's kind of neat. Most people that have Shopify stores have items that are listed continuously, and they have ongoing advertising that can get fairly expensive over time. They have to really stay on top of things to make sure they're not overspending for their ads, which can put the whole process into the red, if you will. But by building up demand, running your ads prior to the actual product availability, building up your demand, and then releasing it, you can come up with some pretty amazing sales figures. I launched a store in January in conjunction with a partner, and normally I would not launch a store in January because you're in that post-Christmas slump. But we launched a store, and the first day we did $52,000 for the business. The second day it was down to about $38,000 for the business. But this particular item that we were selling, it was a one-item store, and we withdrew that item after 7 days, and we had just over $100,000 worth of sales in 7 days. Now, with full disclosure, we spent right at $8,000 in ad purchasing to make that happen. About $5,000 of that was spent before the store opened, and the other $3,000 was basically spent in the first 24 to 36 hours after that store opened, just to remind people that the product was now available and now is the time to buy it. But most of you don't think about Shopify this way. You think of it as almost like a digital version of a brick and mortar store that's open 24 hours a day. This store was open 24 hours a day, but only for 7 days. So people had a narrow window to buy this product, and there was about a 2-week period of time, or 10 days time, before the store opened that built up demand. So when that store opened, there was immediate sales activity. I mean, within literally 15 minutes, there was sales activity. So don't be put off by the numbers here. I know most of you don't have $8,000 to spend on ad buy, but you could do the same thing with $1,500 or $2,000 in ad spend and have very, very good results. Certainly a multiple return on your investment. And that's really what it's all about. The larger your ad spend, the faster you get to big numbers. But this would have scaled down just as easily as I could have scaled it up. We could have done more business if we had spent $20,000 on ads. We would have done proportionally less if we had spent $1,500 or $2,000 on ads. But the system itself is what I want you to think about here, and I just want you to understand the difference in the process. Again, in the old days, working with print media, newspapers, and classified ads, and then in a more modern time working with Craigslist, those people are making a commitment when they get in their car to drive to your house to pick up the item that they've discussed with you. There is no such commitment typically in the Shopify or the Amazon or eBay experience. The only real benefit you have in doing business on Shopify, eBay, or Amazon is the fact that those platforms can facilitate the closing of that transaction, the payment, the viewing of the item for the last time, and then ultimately the shipping and delivery of that item. So if you treat this a little bit differently than you may be treating it, and front load your actions to get buyers to your store as opposed to lookers to your store, you're going to see a dramatic difference in your sales. This may sound a little strange to some of you. Think about what I've said. Watch the video again if you need to. Please leave comments in the comment section below. Ask questions, and we'll be back.